So I've been in and around security since 1998, operating, actually investing as a VC, sitting on the boards of directors and whatnot. So really being in security for long term. And SSH, as many of you probably know, we are the inventors of secure access, namely SSH, so the Secure Shell Protocol, back in 1995. And we've been on that road since then. Today, we're really more focused on kind of higher, more intelligent levels of access, and especially privileged access. And already Martin and especially Sarisa today talked about how passwords are really, really difficult to maintain. They're really a nuisance. And what comes to privileged access, we very much believe that you have to actually get rid of not only passwords, but any standing privilege credentials that you may have out there in your environment. So say no to standing privileges. Just to set the stage a little bit, when you look at your environment today, very much multi-cloud. I think IBM did a research a couple of years back, and in average, an IBM customer has had 5.5 clouds in use. So very much multi-cloud, but of course still probably each and every one here still has some things running on their on-prem infrastructure as well. So it's very much hybrid, very much on-prem. And in the same way, the environments are just expanding hugely. Back in '96, when SSH was actually founded, Alta Vista guys were thinking about, let's index the internet and make it searchable for everybody. And they wrote a paper saying, we think we need a lot of resources for this. We think we need 5 alpha servers in order to index this thing. Fast forward to 2004, Google guys were thinking about using MapReduce. How do we really index this better? And they were thinking about maybe 1,800 VMs might do this. Fast forward to today, Netflix, when they do their video encoding, at any given point in time, they may be using up from 300,000 of CPUs. So environments, not only the big web estates, but also every bank, every enterprise, the environments are really growing fast. Data amounts are growing fast. So, and in a very same way, teams are shifting. You have teams are being formed every day, dismantled every day. You have third parties coming in, doing some maintenance tasks in your environment. You have consultants coming in. You have some emergency help coming in, helping you troubleshoot problems. So in the sense of access, people come and go every day. And they need different roles in different days. Very much a dynamic environment. And that leads into the need of many different levels of access. You don't give everybody root, right? You only give root to very few people for very few occasions, and hopefully not permanently, right? And then if you look at how things are done, it's very much a multi-protocol world. You use SSH for certain tasks, you use REP for certain tasks. HTTPS is, of course, expanding very rapidly with API-based access and whatnot. So overall, the infrastructure, the complications of today's IT environment are really, really growing fast. So what is the result? Very typical situation. You have a developer, DevOps guy, needing privileged access in order to deploy his software, in order to make a change to a server, whatnot. They end up waiting so that 20-some admins somewhere actually enable that access. They need to click through certain stuff and grant that access. Very inefficient. Permanent credentials are very much forgotten, lost. They're left behind. A little while ago, I met with a huge Canadian bank. I had a senior security architect in a room with me. We talked about credentials and how things are left behind. And he started scratching his head saying, oh, wait a second. Went into his files on his laptop, found an SSH key, private key. He used to be a Linux admin 12 years before that moment. Found an SSH private key, went on to a Linux server, logged in with that private key 12 years, that he created 12 years before. And the public key was still there. So that permanent access, root level access for him, he was Linux admin, he needed root level access to that server. It was there, it was still there for 12 years. He could have left the bank many times over, and the access was still enabled there. So credentials are very much left behind, and that makes you very vulnerable. If somebody walks out with that private key, he does still have access if you have those keys laying around, the public keys laying around in your environment. An audit trail is very often missing because of the key-based access, because of all the different back roads. People get into the servers in an unmonitored way. And especially when you have very high-level access, very let's say root access to a server, you should be monitored. Everything you do should be basically recorded. And then subcontractors are very often given too much access, too high level of an access for too long. Very, very typical situation. And eventually you end up into a situation where your access management systems, you're kind of patching them. You're trying to kind of remove the holes that are all over the environment because the systems themselves don't just live up to the promise. So what does it really mean? What do you really need to be doing in future? So what is access management that is really made for cloud and crown? First of all, zero standing privileges. Remove every credential you have in the environment. Have nothing there. Only grant access just in time for only the purpose, for only the level that person needs to get the job done. And by that, you significantly reduce your threat surface. Use ephemeral search. Replace passwords altogether. So there's no password-based access to your servers. Go credentialess. Again, thinking about the threat surface. There's no way to access that server if nothing but certificate-based access is enabled and only coming from certain root CA signed certificate. And go for agentless, for fast and easy deployment. I think Faisal already today said about automation, how when you bring up a host, make sure everything is in there, it's all configured. And in the case of privileged access management, make sure that that host, when it comes up, automatically connects to your privileged access management so that the privileged access management basically captures it and starts to manage it from the day one. Nobody needs to log in, hack the configurations, enable access. It just make it automatically connect to your privileged access, and all of a sudden it appears on the list of hosts that your admins can access. And with all of this, you basically create an immutable environment. Nobody can change it. It doesn't need to be changed. You have everything in place from the get-go. Going further, what does it really mean? So enable role-based access rather than identity-based access to the host. Now, this is something that naturally the analysts for ages have said, do not do shared accounts, right? But why do they say it? Because you cannot track that who actually used that shared account to do this and that. But now, if you actually combine the identity from the IDM system with that shared account for that moment that access was granted, all of a sudden shared accounts makes all sense. Because again, that leads into immutable infrastructure. You configure the server once and then it stays. It has the shared role-based accounts enabled, and you don't have to touch it after that. Your privileged access management grants access to those accounts when needed. So this is very much what we do and we recommend. So don't duplicate your identities in your privileged access. Integrate with existing IDM, whether it's Forstrike, whether it's IBM, whoever you use, SailPoint. Because that process exists. You already have the HR process of adding people, removing people, changing their role, changing their team, and by that, basically, all of a sudden, your privileged access enabling becomes automated. Use auto-discovery. Make sure your cloud hosts, your on-prem hosts, when they come up, they automatically connect to your privileged access management, and the system can take over the management of it. And this also enables you to automatically remove the access, remove the servers from your privileged access management when you basically shut down a server. Everyday life in the cloud, you spin up servers and you kill servers. Now, does your privilege management tool live accordingly? Do they flex to enable that? And of course, scalability. Look for elasticity of your privilege access management, not only your cloud, but also the tools that you use to manage. Why would you put up multiple VMs running multiple monolithic servers to address your Monday morning traffic? Do microservices, do containers, let the system scale as needed and only from that layer that is needed. And that leads you naturally to a single pane of glass, so no matter what access you have, it all is visible through a single pane of glass for your users. So what do you really eliminate in the modern privileged access management model? Password walls. You don't need that wall anymore because you just got rid of passwords. You don't have to think about password rotation. Do I do it daily? Do I do it after each time somebody accesses something? Just forget about it. Makes it a lot easier, right? No password policies. You don't need 18-character password with hashtags and numbers and uppercase letters and whatnot. It's all gone. There's no permanent access, so there's no risk of permanent authorizations going wrong, somebody stealing credentials, somebody accessing things they shouldn't access. And your privileged access management, rather than being a 6-month project to get 50% coverage of your environment, it becomes a couple of days of deploying containerized PAM, connecting to your cloud estate, connecting to your on-prem, onboarding everything, and that's it. And again, you don't need to constantly try to find the holes in your system. Keep it all in good shape. So, running out of time. Key takeaways. No standing privileges whatsoever. Co-credentials, use ephemeral search, give them 5-minute lifetime. So the access goes away. If role changes, it goes away within 5 minutes. Use just-in-time access, so only grant it when needed, only for the time period needed, and you're good. And traceability, naturally. You enable monitoring for those critical sessions so that you can detect if something is going wrong, and of course you can play back and learn from the traces. And naturally, go modern. Take something that really is built for cloud rather than built for on-premise and fixed environments. Even the analysts today are starting to actually recognize this. So Gartner just recently put out a research about zero standing privileges. And Coppinger Cole has been on this for some time, enabling and thinking about how things are so agile, so elastic today that you really need to change the way you think about also privileged access. With that, we have a stand out there. Just as you exit the room, we're right there. Please come and chat. Very, very happy to talk more about this, more than this 15 minutes. Thank you.